great apes are the closest living relatives of humans, yet they can be the most elusive of cousins. With habitats often deep in rainforests or mountains, these are animals whose secret lives have only been documented in the last few decades. But distant pockets of jungle like this contain the remnants of populations that share most of our genes, some of our appearance, and perhaps even a few of our thoughts. Humans love to watch apes. At zoos around the world, they always draw the biggest crowds. From the acrobatic orangutan to the inventive chimpanzees and the majestic gorilla, these are the great apes. We seem to respond to these animals because they're so much like us. In the wild, the real lives of apes bear little resemblance to our perception of them. Chimpanzees are not the cuddly clowns they so often seem. They're rowdy, powerful, intelligent, and live in complex communities. Like us, they have lifelong friendships and rivalries. Chimps live only in Africa, and only in areas where there are still forests, characteristics they share with their larger cousins. The first gorillas seen by outsiders were the lowland gorillas of West Africa. With an especially lean and powerful physique that belies a gentle nature, they are by far the most numerous of several distinct gorilla races. A 1,000 miles to the east, across an almost unbroken expanse of forest, the land rises steeply into a series of mountain chains. This is the home of the much rarer mountain gorillas. With a thick, darker coat and a stockier build, they're able to keep warm in the cold mountain climate. At birth, a gorilla is only half the weight of a human baby, but it grows remarkably quickly to become the largest of all the apes. A fully grown male is nearly 6 feet tall and weighs in at around 450 pounds. Contrary to modern myth, male gorillas are rarely aggressive and will only charge humans as a last resort when their group is threatened. Gorillas and chimpanzees are found only in patches of equatorial Africa. But orangutans are an entire continent away from their cousins, suggesting that there may once have been great apes living in a broad swath from Africa to the Far East. Today, orangutans live only on the islands of Sumatra and Borneo. This is the ape that dared to be orange. Yet far from being bold, orangutans are shy, solitary animals that rarely come in contact with one another. They're the only truly tree-dwelling great apes, and even sleep in nests high on the forest canopy. Early naturalists believed that the male with his massive cheek pads must be a different species from the female, who is less than half his size. All the great apes were identified only within the last few hundred years, but their discovery was to transform the way we see ourselves. In the 17th century, tantalizing rumors emerged out of Africa. They told of strange man-like creatures, one of them said to be a giant. At first, they were dismissed as travelers' tales, but then similar stories of a wild man began to filter back from the Far East. By the end of the 18th century, fiction had started to become fact. Chimpanzees and orangutans were shown at zoos in Europe, and their remarkable similarities to humans began to stimulate fierce scientific argument. But the mystery of Africa's giant ape remained, and it was not until the middle of the 19th century that a gorilla was finally cornered. The discovery of the gorilla coincided with a scientific storm over Darwin's theory of evolution. Could this apparently ferocious monster really be one of our distant cousins? But where do great apes come from? Apes are primates, an ancient and varied group of mammals. Like this slender loris, the earliest primates were small and nocturnal, with hands and feet adapted for grasping and manipulation. Early primates also developed binocular or 3D vision. Many mammals have eyes on the side of their heads that face outwards, ideal for keeping watch to the front and back. But early in their evolution, primates gave up this defensive arrangement and the eye sockets rotated forward. The two separate fields of vision were now merged. The eyes were no longer early warning devices, but effective range finders. Judging distances and grabbing hold have continued to be critical skills for primates as they've adapted to new ways of life. But to become great apes, primates needed to add another ingredient to their grasping limbs and binocular vision. Size dictates how an animal can move. A monkey is light enough to leap and can use its long tail for steering and balance. Strong hinge-like joints in the arms and legs absorb the heavy shock of impact. But apes are built differently. To move safely in the trees, they must spread their greater weight. The shoulder joints spread apart, broadening the body. The shoulders and hips become free-swiveling ball and socket connections, allowing the arms and legs to pivot in many directions. Both longer arms and ultra-flexible wrists enable apes to reach, twist, and grab from almost any angle. The elbow joint opens flat, enabling apes to hang under branches. Too heavy to leap, apes have no need for a tail or such long legs. Our own exceptionally flexible limb joints owe everything to these ape characteristics. Twisting wrists, locking elbows, and rotating shoulders are all physical signs of our shared evolution with gorillas, chimps, and orangutans. Size has its advantages. It allows apes to muscle their way through life and to deter their predators. Size can have its disadvantages too. Orangutans reduce the risk of mishaps with some calculated caution and a good strong grip. They usually maintain at least 3 firm points of contact at any one time. This makes leaping literally impossible. A good thing 150 feet up in the forest canopy. With a little careful calculation, the orangutan can also use its weight to good advantage. Tarzan would be impressed. But why are such big animals up in the trees at all? The answer is food. Apes are mostly vegetarians, and the richest pickings are high up in the canopy. Fruit provides apes with many of their energy needs. Fruit also explains why apes need rainforests. It's only in these warm and wet environments that plants are able to produce a continuous year-round crop of fruit, enough to satisfy the demands of these large and specialized feeders. But this is no Garden of Eden.
The wonderful bunches of fruit on this fig tree behind me could easily give a misleading impression that it's simple to find food in a rainforest.
When the forest can't supply their favorite diet, apes turn to whatever else is available, the so-called fallback foods.
Here we are with a selection of fallback foods. And one of the things that all the African apes eat a lot of is the pith from stems. Now, if we can break it open, we can get a sense of just how strong they have to be and what a strange kind of food source this is that they are reduced to eating.
Apes also face competition from other diners. Productive trees are usually spread very thinly around the forest, and typically their fruit ripens suddenly and with little warning. But how does a slow-moving climber like the orangutan compete with a flyer like the hornbill? It uses a highly accurate mental map. The orangutan probably knows which tree to aim for. But to reach it quickly enough, it has to navigate accurately through a three-dimensional maze, taking into account unseen obstacles and gaps in the forest. To select the best possible route, the orangutan must first recall and then compare different alternatives. Having hit upon the quickest treetop pathway, it wastes no time in setting off. Without this efficient route finder, the orangutan would be in constant danger of expending too much energy searching for food. That eventually would lead to starvation. The way fruits ripen so haphazardly forces orangutans to lead solitary lives high in the canopy. They also stay aloft to avoid the threat of tigers. But in the African forests, chimpanzees face fewer dangers and can travel on the ground in search of food. And here, the apes are more often predator than prey. The chimps move swiftly into position, two large males driving some colobus monkeys into an ambush of waiting chimps. A young colobus is targeted and surrounded as more chimps join the hunt. The younger chimps approach for a share of the meat. But they won't be rewarded until the more powerful individuals have had their share. some groups of chimpanzees achieve a 50% success rate in hunting, a performance well above the killing efficiency of specialized predators like lions. In the African highlands, life for the mountain gorillas appears generally relaxed. Food is plentiful, and the group seems to be a close and amicable.